Welcome to the OperaVision podcast. Supported by the Creative Europe programme of the European Union, OperaVision is your very own online opera house. It's the place to watch full-length performances of the highest calibre for free, live and on demand. My name's Heath Thomas, and in the autumn of 2019, I travelled to the Czech Republic on behalf of OperaVision to visit its two Czech partners, the National Theatre in Prague and National Theatre Brno, and to learn about the country's rich opera history. OperaVision loves Czech opera. It's presented Libusha and The Bartered Bride by Bedřich Smetana, Jenufa, Katia Kabanova, and The Cunning Little Vixen by Leos Janáček, Juliet by Bohuslav Martinu, Sternenhoch by Ivan Acher, and soon it will show the most celebrated Czech opera of all, Rusalka by Antonín Dvořák. You can watch it at operavision.eu and on the OperaVision YouTube channel on Friday the 14th of February at 1900 hours CET, or on demand for the following 6 months. I began my journey at the National Theatre in Prague, a magnificent building that stands proudly on the banks of the Vltava River. Its gilded roof sparkling like a jewel amongst the city's spires, this golden chapel, as Praguers lovingly refer to it, is more than just an opera house. It's a monument to Czech language and culture, and the embodiment of the nation's will for her own national identity and independence.
Yeah, my name is Per Boye Hansen, and I am artistic director for the opera companies of the State Opera and the National Theatre. We have two opera companies here in Prague.
The Norwegian director and manager joined the National Theatre in Prague in August of 2019 and believes the city to be one of the very best places for opera in all of Europe.
Well, Prague as opera city is a hidden jewel. I think many people are not aware of the incredible tradition which is in the walls of these three fantastic historical buildings. So I think we need to put our company stronger on the map. I don't think there is any other country where music and opera play such an important role as in the Czech Republic. The Czech opera tradition is really unique. So to preserve and develop the heritage is the most important task for me as artistic director. But we also need, of course, to open up and have a dialogue with the international opera world. Opera is an international form of art, and we need to bring impulses also to Prague.
That was Iveta Jirzikova and the chorus of the National Theatre singing the finale to Libusha, conducted by Jaroslav Kislink. You can watch that extract along with all the others played on this podcast by going to the library on the OperaVision website and on the OperaVision YouTube channel. Libusha was first premiered in 1881 as the grand opening to the brand new National Theatre in Prague. Some people consider Smetana to be the founder of Czech opera. But is this correct? Ondřej Hučin is head dramaturg at the National Theatre, and he says there were others that came before him, though their works are now mostly forgotten. What sort of operas did they compose?
There were two main tendencies. One was to copy especially Italian and French patterns in opera, and the second one was quite naive effort to create an original Czech musical sound and Czech opera tradition. And there was a theory which was based on the idea to base the music, the operatic music, on Czech folk tunes. And there were some composers following this theory, but it was really a ridiculous effort. And then came Bedřich Smetana, who was accused of being Wagnerian, that he copied Wagnerian patterns. But he tried to invent music which is in fact Czech sounding, but which is really artificial, which is a fruit of his musical creativity.
I asked Ondřej about the two Smetana operas that have appeared on OperaVision, Libusha and The Bartered Bride.
Yeah, you mentioned the two most important operas and two most known operas by Bedřich Smetana. They are very different. Libusha, which is a symbolical story about Czech princess who seeks peace and brotherhood. This opera was created or written for a very special event, and this was the opening of the National Theatre in 1881. On the other hand, Smetana wrote The Bartered Bride, which is now the most popular piece by Smetana known in the world. For many people, this is the only opera they know from Smetana's operatic oeuvre. And this is grotesque. This is a story from country. It's very funny. It's a comedy. The reason why Smetana wrote The Bartered Bride was to show that he is capable of writing amusing or entertaining music for Czech listeners. Because, as I said before, he was accused to be a Wagnerian follower. So that's it.
That was the Philharmonia Orchestra playing The Dance of the Comedians from Act 3 of The Bartered Bride at Garsington Opera, with Jack van Steen conducting. Dvořák was a viola player at the Prague Provincial Theatre during the time that The Bartered Bride was premiered there. Smetana was made its chief conductor that same year. 17 years younger than Smetana, Dvořák was naturally influenced by his compatriot's style of composition. In an interview shortly before his death, Dvořák claimed that opera was the most suitable form for the nation. What does Ondřej Hučin make of his contribution to Czech opera?
First, 7 Dvořák's operas are really, from the dramaturgical point of view, are really problematic, because he followed the French patterns, French operas. You can see that these operas are, even in 1980s, 90s, are old-fashioned already. What is interesting that after he returned from USA, he began to write the program music, and he wrote some symphonical poems. And then his first fairy tale opera, The Devil and Kate, which is, from my point of view, the most modern Dvořák's opera. And then he wrote Rusalka, which is, I think this is the best Czech opera and one of the best operas in the world. Really, it's a work of musical genius, of a great musical invention, and this is opera with a beautiful symbolic story, which is a fairy tale, but on the other hand, it's a myth. It's a very cruel story. So this is the case of Antonín Dvořák, who wasn't a reformer. He is not so important for developing of the opera in Czech lands, but his Rusalka is, that it's a golden piece in Czech opera repertoire.
That was the South African soprano Phumeza Matshikiza singing The Song to the Moon from Act 1 of Rusalka, conducted by Jack van Steen at Opera Ballet Vlaanderen. Dvořák was a great lover of trains. He used to visit Prague's main railway station daily to note down which engines were passing through, and it's there that he got the inspiration for the music to his Seventh Symphony. It was my turn to take one of these trains. I headed to Brno, the second largest city in the Czech Republic and capital of the former Margraviate of Moravia. There, in front of a large square filled with fountains, stands the Janáček Theatre, an imposing and heroic building where National Theatre Brno performs ballet and opera. Brno premiered all but one of Janáček's operas during his lifetime. 100 years later, the theatre continues to produce the works of their namesake. It also hosts the biennial Janáček Brno Festival. I'd learnt about the link between Smetana and Dvořák. Now I wanted to learn if there was a similar link between Dvořák and Janáček, who was 13 years his junior.
My name is Patricia Částkova and I'm the dramaturg of the Janáček Opera of National Theatre Brno. He started to work on his first opera, I think it was the late 80s in 19th century, so it already in the time of the big works of Smetana and Dvořák, and actually Janáček really admired Antonín Dvořák. I can't say they talk too much because they live in a different cities, but I know he used to send him some of his works and was very appreciative of his comments. So, of course, he continued some Czech tradition, but he was also a composer who were looking for his own way. And he apparently found it, but as Robert Carson very nicely said one time to me, that Janáček was a school of one.
A school of one, said the director Robert Carson to Patricia, because though Janáček had a number of students, and though his works later influenced composers throughout Europe and North America, no one ever copied his style, perhaps because no one could. Janáček's music is unique. It's direct, idiosyncratic, melodic, but only for brief moments at a time. His style absorbed elements of Moravian and Slovak folk music, and in his operas from Jenufa onwards, you can hear his famous speech tunes, where the vocal lines take their rhythms and pitch contours from the inflections of normal Czech speech. Patricia explains more.
You can hear it all the time. Of course, it's in Jenufa, the influence of folk music, but he never made a copy of something. And through the written short sentences, the way how people speak, he used to go, to the market, listen to the shopkeepers, how they sell their goods, but still he created very unique music language.
Příště vychovám, aby lidé o mně a o tobě nepsali v novinách.
the finale to The Cunning Little Vixen at National Theatre Brno, with Svatopluk Sem as the forester and Petr Hrusha as the little frog, conducted by Marko Ivanovic. Patricia Cheskova had talked about Janáček's unique musical language, so I wanted to experience it for myself. Luckily, the theatre was in the middle of rehearsing Jenufa, ahead of it being streamed live on OperaVision. I caught up with Martin Glazer, General Director of National Theatre Brno and director of this production, and asked him about the work.
Jenufa is for our company really iconic title. Of course, there was a world premiere in our theatre, and we have all the time Jenufa on the repertory. So it means one production is finished, and in 1-2 seasons we have new ones. So there was so many people remembering many productions. All my colleagues and the audience here in the city have seen so many productions during our festival. So I was the newcomer because it was my first time doing Janáček's opera, and so many colleagues told me all the time, he did this in this moment, mostly this thing. No. I'd like to do it in some little bit different way, because I'm a drama director. I studied drama in Theatre Academy, so I'm a newcomer in the opera world, and I was a newcomer in the opera world, started this performance in Brno.
Jenufa is a tragic story about a young woman who accidentally falls pregnant. Her face is slashed by the baby's uncle, and the baby is drowned by Jenufa's stepmother, yet she finds it in her heart to forgive them both. I asked Martin if we can really understand the actions of the characters on stage, given that so much has changed in the century since Janáček composed this opera.
I think it's the same now and 100 years ago. This is the reason why Jenufa is performed all the time, again and again, because this is something crucial. The border was crossed, and we cannot accept this behavior. But we can understand this because it's from the very, very deep sorrow, from very deep love. And when we are very sad and when we laugh and our love is not accepted, we can do crazy things, we can do very bad things. Janáček is the most important composer now, because what he brought in the opera world, it was real revolution. He's something very special, very unique, and I think this is the reason why so many opera houses now stage his operas much more often than Dvořák's or Smetanas. They are really important, but Janáček is revolutionist.
He will be too cold. Do not abandon him, cries Yenufa as she searches desperately for her baby. Wait, I will come to protect him. That was Pavla Vikopalova in the title role singing Salve Regina from Act 2 of the opera, conducted by Marko Ivanovic. Brno might want to claim Janacek as one of their own, but as Martin Glaser explained, just as with Smetana and Dvořák, his music is now performed and treasured all around the world. Back in Prague, Per Boye Hansen said that it was an encounter with Janacek's Katia Kabanova that proved to be the beginning of everything for him as a director.
When I was very young, I was volunteer in the opera house in a new production of Katia in Oslo. At that time, conducted by the Czech conductor Martin Tunovsky. And, you know, these first experiences are very often very strong. Janacek is a giant. He's one of the most important opera composers ever. I used to call him the Mozart of the 20th century. I never get tired listening to them, exploring them, producing them. I have previous jobs I had in Berlin and Oslo. I always produced operas by Janacek. Katia, Yenufa, of course, as the major ones, but there are several other ones. And here, luckily, we have the possibility to really also present the less known operas.
Janacek's operas still sound fresh even today. But now, a new generation of Czech composers are once again pushing the boundaries of music and drama. When I visited the National Theatre in Prague, they were preparing to stream Sternenhoch on OperaVision. This new opera by Ivan Acher blends electroacoustic and contemporary music to breathe life into Ladislav Klima's expressionist novel The Sufferings of Prince Sternenhoch. Dramaturg Ondřej Hučin said, "It's not only the music that makes this a remarkable work.
What is really strange and powerful at the same time is the fact that this opera is written on the text in Esperanto, which sounds like Italian language, but very strange. Like it sounds like a diabolical Italian language, like a language of demons. So this creates a very strange mixture, which works great. And what's really exceptional with this production of Sternenhoch is that you can see the young audience, or young people in the audience, which are of very unconventional lifestyles. On one side, and on the other side, in the same audience, you can see the petit bourgeois spectators, which is really exciting. This fusion of the audience, and I think that's why this production and this opera is at the moment very popular. For me, contemporary Czech music, I must admit, is a rather new field. At my very first visit to Prague last year, I attended the premiere of Sternenhoch, which was a very refreshing experience. And a couple of years ago, I saw the opera South Pole by Miroslav Slinka in Munich, which I liked very much, I must say. I certainly believe that opera needs new works in order to survive. And we will certainly commission also new works for our company with Czech composers.
That was Ho facila helpo mosta signoro from Ivan Acher's Sternenhoch at the National Theatre in Prague, performed by Sergei Kostov as Sternenhoch and Teresa Marechkova as the witch Kumist, who robs the half-mad prince and sends him into delirium. It was conducted by Petr Kofron. The future of Czech opera looks bright, not only for the greats like Smetana, Dvořák and Janáček, but also for the country's living composers. And with OperaVision, you can enjoy the very best performances from Prague, Brno and beyond, including Rusalka from Opera Ballet Flandern on Friday the 14th of February at 1900 CET, or on demand for the following 6 months. I hope you can join OperaVision for what promises to be a thrilling event. Happy listening and viewing on operavision.eu.